I'd like to do three things with you this morning, if I may. The first thing is I just want to reflect a little bit on the state of nutrition in the world and what's happening. I want to just reflect with you a little bit about FoodMatrix, and then I want to launch a new product. And it's a very, very, very interesting new product. We're going to start by a little bit of technical background to the product, which is a little heavy, but then we're going to move to something much more interesting, which is the practical implications for you and me of that product. Does that sound okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, let's think a little bit about where we are going in the world. We have a very sophisticated food industry. And that food industry is producing all kinds of magnificent foods. The problem is that people are getting more sick and their state of health is not improving. So something's going wrong between good food and our state of health. One of the things that we are identifying around the world is a condition called hidden hunger. Now, hidden hunger is a very, very interesting concept because it relates to people being well-filled but not well-fed. The problem with hidden hunger is that you may be having 3 big meals a day, but you are ending up depleted of essential nutrients. Now, when you're depleted of essential nutrients, your body becomes hungry and you want to continue to eat because your body is saying to you, I'm not being properly nourished. Would you please carry on eating until I am properly nourished? Of course, you know what the consequences of that are. And so, what we are setting for ourselves as a target worldwide in Sportron is to try and bring about repletion. Because if we can make people replete, which simply means you are giving all the macronutrients and the micronutrients in balance and the correct amount, you will have a person who functions at an optimal level. They will be healthy, well, and they will not be hungry all the time because they will be replete. How do we make people replete? Something's going wrong with our food in this respect, that it's not providing us with the micronutrients that we really need. That starts in the soil because the soil's not being properly cultivated. And it's becoming depleted in its own nutrients every year. And so we are having food today that if you compare with the same fruit and vegetables 50 years ago, is much, much, much less in nutrient value than it was. And so we are eating but not getting the correct amount of nourishment. So one of the things that we try to do is we try to take supplements because we realize we're not getting everything we need. But the problem is that the supplements we get are nothing more than chemical isolates. And the body always finds it difficult to process chemicals. It has to use a whole enzymatic structure to break it down and to make it available to the body. And it's not very efficient. And so actually we end up full but not well fed. The FoodMatrix introduction in the world has done something phenomenal because it has given us the opportunity of, with real food, being able to take those micronutrients to replete our supplies and make our bodies properly nourished. Now, properly nourished bodies are efficient bodies. They work at an optimal level. So that one of the observations that we have is if we can get rid of hidden hunger, we can do wonderful things in terms of eliminating pathology, disease. And I want you to remember this. that most disease flies out of the window when your bodies are replete. Because so much of our health problem is related to our nutrient status levels. And if our nutrient status levels are not right, we will begin to malfunction. And that malfunction will manifest itself in many ways. In our dispositional health, the way we feel about ourselves and our world. In our state of depression. In our energy levels. And then, of course, the beginning of a whole lot of different kinds of diseases, like dysglycemia, problems relating to sugar balance. There is another sinister influence in our world today that is wreaking havoc in the world. And that is the influence of certain types of sugar. High fructose corn syrup is one of the greatest harmful elements that we've ever introduced into our nutritional cycle. And the reason for that is that fructose takes a different metabolic pathway in the body than glucose, which is real sugar. And real sugar, which is glucose, is available to every cell in the body and is used efficiently by those cells. However, fructose, when it's taken in, goes to the liver and clogs the liver and causes a whole series of problems. The problems include very high lactic acid levels, the introduction of gout, the introduction of high blood pressure, and other problems associated with cardiovascular disease. And so high fructose corn syrup is our big problem today. Now let's just think about sugar for a minute. In the 1700s, we were taking about 4 pounds of sugar personally, individually, per year. Then in the year 1900, we were taking up to 90 pounds of sugar per year. In the year 2010, 50% of Americans took 180 pounds of sugar per year. And so we are doing things wrong. Associated with that high fructose corn syrup introduction, which was at the late 1970s, there has been an epidemic in weight gain in America. And that weight gain is associated with fructose intake, and especially in terms of sodas. And so I want you to be very careful when you eat. I want you to look at the labels and say, what is the sweetening agent here? Is it a natural sweetening agent like stevia? Is it glucose? Or is it a form of high fructose corn syrup? Because if it's high fructose corn syrup, it is going to cause damage to your body. And so it is important for all of us, therefore, in Sportron, as we try and share our story with the world, that we tell them that it is important what you eat. Your nutritional status is critical for your well-being and to get rid of hidden hunger. Now you might think to yourself, hidden hunger, not many people are suffering from hidden hunger. Most people in the world are suffering today from hidden hunger. What a magnificent opportunity we have in Sportron to introduce the FoodMatrix range of products that are able to replete people's damaged nutritional status and make them much more able to function well in our world. Do you know that probably in terms of our population in America, 250 million, let's say, 100 million would probably be able to afford to buy our products? Wouldn't you love the opportunity of us being able to have an audience of 100 million people so that we could tell them the FoodMatrix story? Do you know that if they gave us 1 hour, at the end of that hour, most of those people would say, I want to change. I want to change because I don't want second rate anymore. I only want the best. So we have a problem, don't we? How on earth do we get to that 100 million people and tell them about this wonderful product? You see, this is the message. If you only knew the facts, you would only use FoodMatrix. Isn't that true? And if that is true, then you and I have the responsibility of having to get that message across in America today. Because we want to make a profound difference in the health status of our nation. We want to make people well again. We want to give them energy. We want to give them resistance to disease. We want them to be able to live quality lives for a long time. So, as we are thinking about these kind of things, we are saying to ourselves, okay, so what can make a difference? Which are the particular ingredients that we can harvest and bring together that will make a profound difference in the lives of the people that we're engaged with? And of course, as Keith and I are getting older, we are becoming much, much more interested in how do we stay younger longer. And there are a number of ways that you can stay younger longer, and those nutritional interventions can be very, very helpful. But today, I want to talk to you about something that is so innovative, so new, so interesting, and I believe it is at the cutting edge of medicine. We are early subscribers to this product in America. In other words, we are leading the way, as we have so often before. And so today, I want to introduce something to you that I believe is going to make such a difference in your own life and in the lives of those that you're becoming involved with. So, let me see if this works, Kev. I want us to replace all the old parts. Does it sound like a good idea? Yeah. Okay, so let's think about that. How do we replace the old parts? Well, we have to get right down to the cellular level, don't we? And we have to say to ourselves, how does the body itself do a replacement mechanism? How does it fix mistakes? How does it fix problems? How does it fix damage? And the way you fix damage is through stem cells. That's what we are going to be talking about today. There are three kinds of stem cells. There is embryonic stem cells, there's placental stem cells, and there is adult stem cells. Embryonic stem cells is very, very difficult subject on its own because it has major moral implications in terms of its use. Placental stem cells has also problems, now not moral, but technical. And so today we are going to talk about something that's much easier for us to access, and that is adult stem cells. Great. So let's start thinking about that a little bit. Remember the 20 extra years you added to your life through clean, healthy living? Well, these are them. That's not quite the way we had it in mind. We thought that as we got older, we were going to be able to enjoy robust health. And of course, that's what we must do. So let's think about what an adult stem cell is. And this is technical language, and I don't want you to get hung up on technical language, but stem cells are manufactured in the marrow of the bone. Those stem cells are sent to different destinations in the body, and they are stored in what is known as niche areas. But all of those stem cells are undifferentiated. In other words, they don't have a name attached to them, they're just for general use. So that once you manufacture these adult stem cells and they are sent around the body, they go into these niche areas which are really a warehousing situation where they are waiting to be used. Undifferentiated means that they don't have a purpose yet. Once they become differentiated, it means that they have converted from general use to specific use. So here we have undifferentiated adult stem cells being sent to the body to be kept in niche areas awaiting a call for action. So there are different families of stem cells, and of course they are hemopoietic, mesenchymal, neural cell, epithelial, and skin cell. So don't worry about all of that. Let me just explain to you. Okay. The hemopoietic are red blood cells, B and T lymphocytes, natural killer cells, mesenchymal are bone, neural are neurons, epithelial are absorptive, and skin. Okay, so what's the implication here? I'm trying to be just practical and understand, okay, what are the implications of this? The implications of this are that those undifferentiated adult stem cells can go anywhere in the body and become differentiated. So let's say you have a need in the liver because it's been damaged for one reason or another. What will happen is signals will be sent and a call to action made. Are there any stem cells out there? We need help urgently. Those stem cells which are undifferentiated will then come to the liver and become differentiated. They will become liver stem cells. And their job in the liver in that case would be to do repair work. What a fantastic concept. Here's the problem. The problem is that the older we get, the less efficient the manufacture of undifferentiated adult stem cells become. So that while we are young, those stem cells are being pumped out in the body and they need quick repair and quick maintenance. But what happens as we get older is we are producing less and less stem cells, and because of that, our repair work goes down. Okay. Now, there's things like transdifferentiation. This is a fantastic concept. Listen to what happens. You've got undifferentiated stem cells that went to the liver and became liver differentiated cells, but the pancreas needs a whole lot of extra help, and they say, please, 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 can't you help? And these cells, which are now liver cells, go to the pancreas because they go through a process of transdifferentiation. Isn't that unbelievable? This body of ours is so clever and is able to do those kind of things for us. There are two types of cell division, and I want you to have a look up at the top there. You have a self-renewed daughter cell, and you have two cells dividing up, but one becomes what they call a progenitor cell. Okay, let me go slowly. You can get two daughter cells that are exactly the same, or you can have two cells that are different. So they are not identical twins. Two of them are identical twins, two of them are non-identical twins, and you have these progenitor cells which don't last for long. So it's actually better to have the identical twins division. I've done these, but I don't want to spend time on these because this is technical stuff, and I know it's not too interesting for you. All beautiful pictures of what happens in your body. so wonderful, so complicated. Oh, she does wonderful things. All we need to know is the reality of its effect in your body and mind. Now, this slide is an important slide, and I want to go through it carefully for you. Because what we are trying to do now is to say, okay, so I get older, and therefore I produce less adult stem cells. Is there anything I can do about it? And that brings us to this concept of the induction of adult stem cell recruitment, which simply means, can I recruit some additional adult stem cells? Is there a way for me to find additional stem cells? Wow, gee, if we could do that, what a brilliant opportunity that would be for us to repair better and to stay younger, isn't that so? So let's think about this for a minute. Various nutraceuticals and botanicals have been found to be effective in promoting adult stem cell mobilization. That's the good news for today. That's the good news for today. Now, there are drugs in the world that can help stimulate adult stem cells. One is called GM-CSF. And it's normally given to people who have gone through chemotherapy, and the chemotherapy has damaged the bone marrow. And so they have to do something to try and resuscitate the adult stem cell reproduction. Okay? So they give you this drug. Now, as you and I know, drugs are important in our lives because sometimes they save our lives. But actually, what we prefer to do is always go the natural route, isn't that so? Because all drugs have side effects, and while they help, they have to be evaluated on a risk-benefit ratio. But if you are able to take nutraceuticals, then that is so much better. Now, actually, GM-CSF is quite an efficient drug, and it stimulates adult stem cells up to the rate of 48%, which is a phenomenal amount. But listen to the good news. There are certain combinations of nutraceuticals that, if you put them together, are able to produce adult stem cells up to 68%. Isn't that absolutely unbelievable? So what we've been doing in the last few years is studying what are the nutraceuticals that make a difference in adult stem cell stimulation. There is a need for an antioxidant protection during migration. That means this, that when you call for an undifferentiated cell and it goes on a journey to its place, its destination in the body, it needs to be protected because it can be damaged along the way. In other words, free radicals can destroy this stem cell so that by the time it comes to its destination, it is no longer functional. So what we have to do when we formulate a product like this is we have to find out what initiates the mobilization and the migration of this adult stem cell, but what protects it on the journey. Adult stem cells have telomerase. That is such an interesting thought. You see, our longevity is related to a telomerase. A telomerase is the tail on your cells. And those tails keep on breaking off in pieces until there's no more tail left. And when there's no more tail left, the life cycle of that cell is over and it's gone. It dies. It's too late. So if you can keep telomerase, if you can keep telomeres there longer, then you have an additional life opportunity, an extension life opportunity. And the only way that you can protect telomeres is by the enzyme telomerase. So here we have, interestingly enough, adult stem cells which have intrinsic in them telomerase. So they themselves are not only going to do repair in our bodies, but they are going to extend the life of cells. Adult stem cells are pluripotent. This permits them to differentiate into somatic cell types present in different organ tissues. And I'll explain that to you. It means that they are able to be used in different functions in the body. And they are able to trans-differentiate, they are be able to jump. Now, diseased or damaged tissues provide complex signals to attract regenerative stem cells. I find that so interesting. When an organ is in trouble, or a tissue is in trouble, and let me include for you something that you'd find interesting, your skin. If it's in trouble, it is able to send complex signals to the rest of the body. And what is it trying to find? It is trying to find those niches where it's saying, have you got some adult stem cells there? I need it urgently. So diseased tissue sends signals. Adult stem cells must be able to renew themselves, be able to differentiate, and be transportable with functional employment. Okay, so today I want to present to you our new product, StemGard. How did we formulate this? What did we do? Which substances did we find that had the effect on the adult stem cells, and in particular that were able to stimulate their migration from the bone marrow, transported by the blood, to different tissues in the body? What did we do? Well, the first and most important ingredient is an ingredient called Phanozomenon floss aquae. So from now I'm going to call it AFA. Okay? It's much easier to say. AFA is a most interesting substance because it is a blue-green algae, and it is grown in the Klamath Lake in southern Oregon. It is at a level of 4,100 feet above sea level. It has a high mineral water content. It has very clear air, and it has an abundance of sunlight. So it represents the best opportunity to get the best botanical in the world that can do the best for us. Well, AFA, also known as the invisible living flower of the water, that's a beautiful name. You may not remember it, but AFA is what we're going to remember this by. It contains an array of digestible nutrients, essential fatty acids, enzymes, vitamins, 13 different vitamins, minerals, complex sugars, and phytonutrients. A magnificent product. Now, I want you to just reflect for a while. What is the most rich plant on the face of the earth? Seaweed. Because seaweed gets its nourishment from the water, and its nourishment comes from the land, is leached out of the land, and comes down to the water and is absorbed by the seaweed. By the fronds, they call it. Not the leaves, the fronds of the seaweed. It is able to take in that rich nourishment from the water. So the richest plant on earth is seaweed. And here we are using blue-green algae, which is seaweed, that comes from a very, very special lake. AFA uses photosynthesis to produce food material, chlorophyll stored and utilized by the cell. Now, chlorophyll is a detoxifier in the body and a supplier of oxygen. So if we can produce more chlorophyll to our bodies, we're going to be doing ourselves a great favor. It is non-toxic, and here is the kicker. It assists in the proliferation of human stem cell populations. Now, if you use AFA on its own, without other nutrients, it has the effect of increasing the output of adult stem cells by between 25 and 30%. But you remember what I told you earlier? If we chose a combination of nutraceuticals, we could get it up to 68%. That's exciting, isn't it? Okay, so let's think about this a little bit more. It contains amino acids, 10 of the non-essential amino acids and 10 of the essential amino acids. It contains some very interesting vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin C, niacin, pantothenic acid, biotin, vitamin E, vitamin K, vitamin B1, vitamin B2, B6, and B12. Now, vitamin K2 is actually fairly high in this substance, and you know that good press lately on vitamin K2. Minerals, it contains calcium, chloride, chromium, copper, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, and zinc. So it's quite a remarkable plant, isn't it? It really is a remarkable botanical that has a rich array of micronutrients. It contains essential fatty acids, and both of the essential fatty acids, linoleic acid, which produces omega-6 fatty acid, and alpha-linolenic acid, which produces omega-3 fatty acids. It has photosynthetic pigments, chlorophyll, and phycocyanin. Now, phycocyanin is a very, very interesting substance because what it does in the body, it is an anti-inflammatory agent. So here we are trying to find a substance that stimulates adult stem cells, and we find a substance that does a whole lot of other benefits at the same time. What a deal! And it contains enzymes, and these are useful plant-based enzymes. Here's the interesting one. It contains nucleic acid. Now, nucleic acid at a high level, 3% nucleic acids, they grow and repair cells and store and transport genetic information. Magic material. Magic material. Nucleic acids, the heart of our health. Looking after that DNA for us and making sure that we repair damaged DNA material in the body. And then we have PEA, phenylethylamine, and we're going to call it PEA from now on. It contains this PEA, which helps alleviate depression and increases concentration and elevate mood. I love dealing with algae. I love dealing with algae. And Keith and I have been dealing with algae for 40 years, long before Sportron. Because we recognized many, many, many years ago that algae is one of the most wonderful substances on the earth. And here you can see the benefits that come from that substance. But today, we have a specific focus. And the focus is, does it stimulate adult stem cells from the marrow of the bone, and how effective is it in doing that? And if it can do that, what its effect going to be in your body and mind? Now, that's a blue-green algae. Here is an extract from a brown algae, which is called fucoxanthin. And fucoxanthin has its own benefits. And these benefits are so, so interesting because it is able to resist inflammatory process in the body. It is able to come against inflammatory process. And it is able to assist in the development of new blood vessels. Wow! That's an interesting concept. So, an interesting addition. The effects of nutraceutical and botanical substances, and I want you to grasp this word synergy, because there is another company in this country that uses AFA, and we support them. Great, good thinking. But there is a benefit in synergy. In other words, we don't like the concept of just one substance. We want all the substances that are useful in the migration of adult stem cells. So here they are. Vitamin D. It stimulates the production of the progenitor cells. Oleic acid and linoleic acids promote the proliferation of internal stem cells and hematopoietic precursor cells. Blueberry, green tea extracts, vitamin D and carnosine cause a proliferation of bone marrow cells. And blueberries modulate cell signaling cascades. So, as we tried to formulate this product, we investigated all the substances on the earth that are going to make a difference in terms of both the stimulation of adult stem cells and the protection of those adult stem cells as they are migrating to the areas where we most need them in the body. So, what do adult stem cells do? They have the potential to regenerate bone. That's an interesting concept, isn't it? Wow! We thought soft tissue only. No, it can help regenerate bone because all the tissue of the body is made up of adult stem cells. It can develop insulin-producing cells for diabetes. It helps repair damaged heart muscle following a heart attack. What an interesting new potential for medicine. What an interesting new potential for health and repair. So, remember when shake, rattle and roll meant more than just getting out of bed? Okay. I'm very, very proud of this product. And you are going to find magnificent benefit. But I want to handle a question that I'm sure you have in your mind. And the question goes something like this. So, we've got Viva, we've got StemGard, and we've got UltraGuard Forte. What on earth do we do? Well, of course, my obvious answer is take them all. Okay, fine, but what is their function in the body? And I want you to understand this very, very clearly because they have different functions in the body. The first product, UltraGuard Forte, what is its function in the body? It is to provide nourishment. That's the key word. It is to replete the body of depleted areas of micronutrient. So its function is to provide nutrition so that your body can function properly in terms of normal biochemical function. And what we have always taught in Sportron, and I will emphasize again today, you must have a biochemical baseline. It is critical that you provide your body with all the micronutrients it needs on a daily basis so that it can function efficiently. And that comes from UltraGuard Forte. Viva is a different product with a different objective. And the objective with Viva is to make sure that we stay younger by scavenging the free radical activity in our body, which is, in fact, the most powerful enemy of retained youthfulness. And so Viva is an exceptionally powerful antioxidant. Its function is to protect us from the ravages of free radical that are inevitable in our world. Every breath you breathe is another 1 million free radicals. And so in our world of pollution and our world that we can't get away from, we are producing free radicals and they are aging us. Viva acts against that. StemGard does a specific function, and it is repair and maintenance. So the first one was nourishment. The second one is protection. Viva is protection. And the third one is repair and maintenance. Repair and maintenance. So as we're growing older and our repairing starts to malfunction, now what we are able to do is re-stimulate the repairing mechanism and the maintenance mechanism so that we can make up for the deficiency in age and we can now start caring for our body in a better way. These three products represent the finest science in terms of nutrition in our world today. I wish we had 100 million people to tell the story to, because we make a difference in their lives. And that's what we're out to do. Ladies and gentlemen, StemGard.